Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. Today we have a case I only uncovered recently, and the only source I could find was the court's response when they turned down the doctor's appeal. So the story isn't really clear because it's focused more on the testimony. But Dr. Ernest C. Martin was convicted of murder in the abortion death of 42-year-old Anna Bilinski, and was sentenced to 15 years in the penitentiary. The abortion had been perpetrated on August 10th of 1937, but the indictment wasn't handed down until over 2 years later, November 10th of 1939. Now, I'm going to go through different people's takes on what happened. Okay. Anna's husband, John, testified in the trial. He didn't speak English fluently and sometimes didn't seem to understand the questions or the instructions. He said that Anna didn't have a period in April or May of 1937. On about July 15th or 16th, he said, he went to Dr. Martin's office and told him that Anna was pregnant, that she was no longer a young woman and already had 5 children. He asked Martin what he could do to remedy the situation. And he testified that Dr. Martin told him, "I will give you a prescription to the druggist for a certain kind of capsules." John said that he filled the prescription and Anna took the capsules, but they did not have the desired effect. So on August 10th, that's almost a month later, John said, he went to Martin's office to report the lack of success. And he said that Martin said to bring Anna to him that afternoon and he would open her womb. John said that he and Anna went to Dr. Martin's office at about 4 p.m. Martin put some kind of long instrument into a sterilizer and told John not to watch. The instrument was about 10 or 12 inches long, round, about 3/8 of an inch thick, and resembled scissors or clippers. And John said that Dr. Martin put this into Anna's body and that he also wiped out her body with gauze. He then asked Anna to sign a slip of paper, but when she was unable to do so, John signed it. After the abortion was when they discussed the price. Martin said that he wanted $35, and John said he gave Martin $20 and told him, "If my wife be healthy, I will give you the rest of this." John said that Martin took a bottle of Seagram 7 whiskey from a drawer and filled 2 glasses. He gave one of them to John and said, "Let's have a drink to the murder." John said that his eyes were flowing with tears as he drank with the doctor. I don't know whether they were flowing with tears because he was sad that his baby was dead, flowed with tears that he was relieved that Anna wasn't going to have another baby. The source doesn't say why. John said he took Anna home and she prepared supper for the family, then went to bed at about 6 p.m. Now, John said that in the morning he noticed a lot of blood in the bed, and Anna was continuing to bleed vaginally, so he phoned Dr. Martin, who came to the house at around 11 o'clock that morning. He examined Anna and said, "That's the way it should be, don't be worried." John said that Dr. Martin gave him a prescription, which he filled and gave to Anna. Anna then passed the fetus, which John put into a quart jar that he filled with alcohol. On August 12th, John said, he called Martin again to say that Anna was still bleeding. So Dr. Martin came to the house, examined Anna, and left some pills for her. John said that Dr. Martin came back to the house on the 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th to attend to Anna. On the 16th, he gave her some kind of injection in her arm. Now, John said that from then on, he was calling Martin 2 or 3 times a day. At some point on August 20th, John said, Martin packed Anna's uterus with gauze and cotton. Now, sometime on that day, which was Friday, Dr. Martin summoned a Dr. Warren Blim to consult with him. John said that Dr. Blim removed the packing from Anna's uterus along with a quantity of clotted blood. He said that about 5 o'clock that evening, Anna grabbed him around the neck, kissed him, and said, "I got to die." John said that it wasn't until Sunday, August 22nd, that Dr. Martin finally called an ambulance for Anna, but she died before it arrived. And Dr. Blim's testimony meshed pretty well with what John said. He said that on August 20th, Dr. Martin had asked him to consult about a woman having a miscarriage. He found Anna to be bleeding vaginally. He massaged her uterus through her abdomen, which enabled her to pass a clot, which reduced the bleeding. He told Dr. Martin to administer an intramuscular argotrate injection to further control the bleeding, didn't believe that Anna was in critical condition, and left her in Martin's care. Now, what did Dr. Martin have to say about all this? He said that Anna had been a patient of his for about 8 years when in mid-July of 1937, John consulted him about Anna, and Dr. Martin said he prescribed something to treat symptoms of menopause. He next saw John on the 8th or 10th of August, and he said that John told him Anna was still suffering aches and pains, so he said to bring her to the office. They had arrived between 3 and 5 p.m. He did a routine examination, including the bimanual pelvic exam. And women, you know what this is. Men, you might not know. That's when the doctor uses his fingers to reach in, and he can kind of move the uterus around so that he can feel it with his hand on top of her abdomen. So he did a bimanual pelvic exam. And he said that Anna had a crooked uterus and her cervix was widely dilated. He said he hadn't known she was about to miscarry, which seems to me a very odd assertion if she was pregnant and her cervix was widely dilated. If that was the case, she would have been in the middle of a miscarriage. Martin said that Anna called him the next day, so he went to her house to see her. He said that she told him she'd begun menstruating, which, again, this is not meshing with, he would have noticed she had an enlarged uterus if he did a bimanual exam, so she wouldn't have been menstruating, she'd have been miscarrying. So, John said that Anna had passed a baby. Again, why is he calling this menstruating? Martin said that he took the baby with him and left some pills and instructions for the couple to call him if Anna felt worse. A day or two later, he said Anna reported coughing, chest pains, and a headache, along with continued menstrual bleeding. He left a prescription. Now, Martin did say he called Dr. Blim in for a consult, and Blim had massaged Anna's abdomen, helping her to expel a clot. And he said that Blim recommended elevating the foot of the bed and administering the egretate, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, injection. Martin said that he returned the next day and found Anna's condition to be satisfactory with no further bleeding. And Martin said that on the day of Anna's death, he had gone to a neighbor's house to call an ambulance. It arrived accompanied by a Chicago Heights police squad car, and Martin evidently made a lot of the fact that Anna's husband had not complained to the police at that time that anybody had perpetrated an abortion on his wife. Martin said that he had filled out a death certificate attributing Anna's death to influenza and bronchial pneumonia, and he denied requesting a $35 fee, dilating Anna's uterus, or asking either of them to sign a paper. Now, for some weird reason, the autopsy didn't even take place until November 3rd of 1939. John was first called in to identify his wife's body as it lay in a white metal casket. The autopsy found uterine infection and recent pregnancy, and Dr. Kearns concluded that Anna had died from septicemia or blood poisoning from an infection affecting only the uterus, and the cervix was dilated, most likely by an instrument. And the fetus that John had put into the bottle had been of about 2.5 months gestation. So between the condition of Anna's body, the fetus in the bottle, the authorities concluded that Anna had indeed died from a septic abortion, and Dr. Martin was convicted of murder by abortion. His attorney appealed his conviction on multiple issues, but the court upheld his conviction. So he did go to prison for what he did to Anna.